So, this is going to be the last lecture in the series on connectivity for IIoT. So, here basically I am going to give you a demo of the Xbee. So, before I do so, let me just try to go through some of these basics of Xbee, how it works and how you can configure Xbee for working, and thereafter I am going to show you this Xbee Xbee communication in action. So, basically we will have a Xbee transmitter and a Xbee receiver, and I am going to show you how this transmitter sends and the receiver receives and basically shows the sent information from the transmitter. So, for Xbee connectivity, the basic connectivity model that will be used for data transfer between the Xbee modules is discussed, and particularly we are using the Xbee for doing it. And basically we are going to focus over here this Xbee, which is basically also pronounced as Xbee, but is a product from one of these companies, a specific company specific product which follows the Xbee protocol. This Xbee module and its configuration I am going to show, and thereafter I am going to introduce the basic communication between two Xbee modules using Python programming language, that I am going to do next. So, just a recap, Xbee is a communication protocol that is used for mid-range communication, and it follows the specification of IEEE 802.15.4. And it is one of the very well known protocols for IoT, for whether it is for home based applications or for industry based applications. Xbee is a very popular technology, and it is very popular for low data rate, low power communication in wireless personal area networks. There are different topologies that are supported by Xbee: star topology, tree topology and mesh topology. Particularly the star and the mesh topologies are the most common and are widely used for home and industrial automation applications. The communication range in Xbee varies from 10 to 100 meters. It becomes more if the receiver and the transmitter are in the line of sight of each other. So, a Xbee module basically can be of three types. There can be a coordinator, a router and an end device. The coordinator is the root of the network and it acts as the bridge between these different networks. The router basically relays the information to other nodes in the network, and the end devices are only responsible to connect to the parent node, and no relaying of information is done by the end devices. So, these are the three different types of devices that are supported by Xbee. So, Xbee and Xbee, although these terms are used interchangeably, but they are different. So, Xbee protocol is a mesh communication protocol which is based on IEEE 802.15.4 standard specifications, whereas Xbee is a product from the company Digi, and it comes in different variants. It is available commercially in different variants. So, Digi mesh is a protocol that basically is similar to Xbee, but has certain additional features. So, Digi mesh is basically supported by Xbee, and it has certain features that are similar to Xbee, but certain additional desirable features are also there in Digi mesh. So, these are the prerequisites. Initially you have to install the Xbee library using this command pip install Xbee, and then install the XCTU software from this particular link that is given. So, you can click on this particular link and you would be taken to that. So, from this link you would be able to get the download and the installation of this software XCTU, and that is required to be installed even before you can do this configuration. So, XCTU will be used to configure the Xbee modules before they can be used for communication. That means the Xbee sender and the transmitters could be used. So, for configuration, after you have installed XCTU, you open the XCTU window like this, and then you click on the discover button to discover the Xbee. So, basically so once you do that, you would be able to add the different devices and discover devices. For adding devices, this is the button that you will be using, and for discovering, this is basically the button that you are going to use. So, once you click on this particular button, it has discovered different modules, and this is this module that has been discovered and has been found. So, there could be many different other modules that could be discovered through this discovery process. So, after discovering the devices, it is required to identify the port ID and the MAC address of the Xbee devices, and this port ID and the MAC ID are required for this communication, and this is quite obvious. And here, as you can see, based on these different devices that are discovered, the corresponding port ID and the MAC ID will have to be assigned, will have to be found out, and the names of these devices will also have to be assigned. And so, here the names are node 1 and node 3, but you could change, you could over here you could change the names of these devices. So, in that for the transmitter program for Xbee, this is basically a screenshot for the transmitter. This part basically talks about importing the DigiMesh library. This is the DigiMesh library. The sender port ID is set basically through this particular command line, and for the destination address, this destination address is set through this particular line of code in Python, and the default target is the broadcast mode of communication. This is the receiver side program. Again, you import the DigiMesh, and because this DigiMesh library is the backbone, the enabler for supporting this communication. So, it is very important to import for the transmitter as well as the receiver Xbee modules. It is important to import this DigiMesh library, and then the port is set, the receiver port ID is set over here, and this try block, if you look at, it is looking for it is waiting for the receiving of the data from the that is sent from the sender. So, it is waiting for reading the frame, and so this is basically this block, and this is the Python code. And so, output console for the transmitter is going to look like this. So, you can enter the message that you want to send from the transmitter. Let us say that we type in welcome to IIoT course, and then at the receiver you are going to receive this message welcome to IIoT course, and U stands for Unicode, and so let us not worry about it, and this is basically this message that is received at the receiver end. So, with this we come to an end of this particular lecture. We have seen the configuration of Xbee and the sender and the transmitter module configuration, their corresponding code, and how the data can be sent from the transmitter to the receiver. So, now I am going to show you whatever I have explained so far, the XCTU configuration and also this Python code for the Xbee transmitter and the receiver. I am going to show it in action. So, as you can see over here, we have these two Xbee modules. This one is the transmitter Xbee module, and this is the receiver Xbee module, which have been connected to the laptop because Xbee modules can connect over USB. So, for convenience we have connected over laptop. So, this is the transmitter module and this is the receiver module, and we will show that how this communication is taking place. Right. So, we have already written the code that will be required for it, but before that let me show you this XCTU configuration window. So, this is basically this XCTU configuration window, and if you recall that in the slide I had shown you that you will have to first configure these different nodes regarding which port they are going to work, which one will be the sender port, which will be the receiver port, what will be the names of these different nodes, the MAC IDs, and all these things will have to be configured. Many other configurations you can do, but those can be done in the XCTU configuration screen. So, after you have done that, basically you can then transmit the data and then also receive it. So, this is basically the receiver code in Python. We have this receiver code receiver xbee.py, and this is basically there is a while loop trying to read the data frame as I was showing you in the slide earlier, and it is trying to look for whether there is any data that has been sent, and this is this imported DigiMesh library. This is required as I told you already, and so let us execute this one over here, and thereafter let us go to the other code which is the sender xbee.py. This is the other code. Here also we have imported the DigiMesh library and we have set the port, etc., and also we try to form this message that is going to be sent. This message is sent through this command send msg, and msg is this message that is built and is being sent. So, after this we go to this console to see that how it looks like from the sender side. So, that was the receiver one and this is the sender console. So, we execute over here, we run and we send a message. So, we can type in any message, let us say hello world, and then we send it. So, it is being sent from the transmitter side. So, we send it and we go back and we can see whether it has been received or not. So, as we can see over here, it has been received, hello world has been received at the receiver side, right. So, this is the receiver console and that was the sender console. So, from the sender console it was sent and from the receiver console we are able to receive this. So, you can try it out yourselves and see whether things are working for you or not. It is very simple and there are a lot of open source code available for supporting Xbee programming and so on, particularly with Python, and you can try out this particular setup that I have demoed you today. So, these are these references that you could go through, and if you are interested you could go through any of these references, and I would encourage you to try out this particular setup that I have just explained and try to send some data from the transmitter and see whether it has been correctly received at the receiver or not, because that is the basic building block for Xbee communication. Thank you.